Now what? When you see this yellow light, that means coasting. So coasting is like, like if I'm going down the street and I see the light red, I don't have to wait till I get there and slam my foot. I can take my foot off and we can coast for a little bit. So you can take your foot off, you can put your foot down. Just like a caution. So when I put that on, I just want you to pick your foot up off the accelerator like you did. And then that goes off, you go back. So let's just do a few of those. The yellow goes on, and I don't go to the brake, you just pick your foot up. Right. So, and then the instructions are, when you see the yellow, just pick your foot up, like that, and then when the yellow goes off, put your foot back down. Okay, so try some of those. Good.
So when I go to Google, I say, okay, that's the card.
Yeah.
And then
Good.
I say, okay,
Now,
pull it again.
Anytime during this green and yellow, when you see the red light, you still jump over to the brake. The brake the red always means brake. All right? So now, tell me what you're going to do when you see the yellow light.
Slow down.
Okay, but like in our little test here, what we're going to do? Right, put your foot off. And how long are you going to leave it off?
Till the light comes back on.
Well, till the yellow goes off.
Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah, the yellow's gonna be your clue. Alright, so let's try that. So go ahead and put your foot on the green, and we'll go through some of these. There you go. Good, okay, and I'm gonna bend in the way, so I'm moving my big foot. Alright, back you go. Yeah, the yellow's off, so you go back to the green. There you go. Now remember, what are you supposed to do when the yellow goes off? Yeah, you push on the green. Yeah. Right, okay, good.
I'll tell you that now.
All right, yeah, one of us has a light. I'm in control of one light, you're in control of the light. All right, good. Then let's try another one.
Yeah, you got to call somebody, the equipment company, get them to come tighten their brakes. I don't really know how to do it. They did it though. Okay. So do you have paper on the chip? Was that chip given to you or did that order at the?
Good, all right, one more time here.
I'll have them come up here.
So there you go.
I'll call them and get them, I'll make sure and say, hey, you just come here. Bring papers.
Good, that's it.
I'll call them and get them.
Now we're gonna do the same thing, except instead of having the red light, we're gonna have that buzzer again. But you'll still have the green and the yellow, okay? So, but again, you're gonna listen, when you hear the buzzer, that means brake.
They'll come tighten up brakes. Figuratively. I mean, I haven't.
Yeah, there you go. You wait till the yellow goes off, all right? Now you can go back.
Bring the paper so I know which company you call and I'll call them. Right?
Good, all right? And back you go.
Maybe, if not, okay. Yeah, you got your feet on the floor. On your feet, whatever
Good,
you
all
do.
right. How about one more?
Scoot yourself out. Which puts more pressure on your feet, which should make them stay there. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Okay, you ready? Lean forward. Push over.
Good.
Yeah.
Hold on a minute. Now, tell me what you would do if you, I hate to say we're in a wreck, if you saw a wreck. Now, speaking of wrecks, have you been in an accident or had a ticket in the last 5 years or so? Nope? Okay, good. Okay. Now, what about, and your driver's license is still good?
22.
22, okay, good for you. You know, what What do they do about driver's license in the news? Cause there's not a soul at DMV.
It's all online.
Everything's
Yeah.
online, okay.
That's all they can do right now.
Yeah, that's right, that's all they can do. And let's see, hold on. 2022. Now, so back to the question, what about a wreck? If you were in a wreck or you saw a wreck, what's like some of the main things that you have to do? What's like maybe most important thing to do if there was a wreck?
Stop.
Okay, and let's just say, let's say you're at this light and you're waiting on the light to change and there's a wreck in the intersection. Now, you're not involved in it at all, but what would be important to do?
Call the police.
Okay, good. And how would you get a hold of them?
My cell phone,
All right. And what would you call?
911.
Right, good. Now, have you had to call 911 before? Ever? Okay.
When I fell, or Marvin would fall.
Okay, so he called?
Most of the time I did, he did, we took our
Oh,
turn.
so Marvin was your husband?
Yes,
And so when he fell, you would call
I
911,
called him and then called 911, cause he's able to
kind of help him up a little, okay.
at times.
Yeah, at times, okay. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, 911, that's the D. Now, what would you do if you had a flat tire?
Pull out the side of the road
Okay,
and call my insurance people.
good for you, because you have something to help change,
Right,
like roadside assistance,
Right.
something like that.
Right.
Okay, good.
I like the way you slowed down when we talked about it, huh?
I'm laughing because I was mowing the yard on Saturday about 9:15, and my daughter, who's a photographer, who lives in Arkansas, I knew she was doing a wedding and it was in Alabama, okay? A family friend or something, that's a long way to go take pictures. Fact is, she calls in a near panic, and her first words out of her mouth were not, "Good morning, how are you?" It's, "What is the number that you call to get them to unlock your car?" Oh, first of all, I don't know that number, but Mom knows that number, so call her. And then I was, hello, does this mean that you've locked your keys in your car? Yeah, and I said, well, can you get this, but so it's not like maybe she's got all her camera equipment out, but probably left her keys and her purse in the car and shut the door and it's locked. And so now she has the stuff she needs for the morning shooting, but when it's over, she's gonna be in a bind. So hopefully that went fine.
Been there, done that.
Yeah, so I hated to hear that call, but nothing I could have done.
But now, before I lock the car, my key is in my hand.
And that somebody said that's the best thing you can do. If you always lock the car with your keys, you very seldom will lock them inside.
But I got them out there.
Good for you, okay.
Okay, you know what happened to?
Now, any steps or anything at your house?
No.
No? Okay, good for you.
You're just like, no, what should happen is this, and first you did.
Now, let's go over everything. Now, your vision actually, that was really pretty good. You have to have 20/40 to drive, and you had 20/20 in, let me think, one eye, 20/20 in your right and 20/25 in your left, but both eyes open were 20/20. So that was good. So, and let's see, the depth perception, that's these little things.
Right.
Actually, that was the worst. Let's see, 2. So you can't have more than 3 inches, and you had 2, 2 3/4 inches off. And we didn't test the night driving and glare because you did not drive at night. Field of vision, they like to have about looking straight ahead about 75 degrees. Okay, and your right was like 60 and your left, or 65 and 70, so a little off. But what are some things that you are able to do to see what's around you when you drive?
I just look to see what's going on, who's coming up and how fast, and
Right, and now, what do you do to do that?
I look in my rear view.
Right, okay, yeah. So, and I'm trying to think of, yeah, where you live, most of your stuff is up over on Airline or down Benton Road?
Yeah, Airline or Barksdale.
Okay, and then your doctor's up there on, the main hospital in Bossier,
Right,
the office place, I guess.
right.
Yeah, okay. Let's see now, the reaction time, let me just throw out a number, 0.37 hundredths of a second is, a little over a third of a second is what they want going from the accelerator to the brake. Okay, and you were slow. This was, here's a 80, average amount, but here's a 80, a 92, and a 78. And we're looking at having it about half that, 37. Okay, now you were a little faster with the buzzer. Most people are faster with the buzzer than they are with the lights. But still 70, 63, 56, so not quite twice as slow. Now, then we went to the one where you had the green and the yellow, and they want 67 hundredths of a second. So like when you're going back and forth between the green and the yellow, and the red light or the buzzer comes on, you have like 67 hundredths of a second. And your fastest one with the light was 95 as opposed to 67. And then you actually had a couple that were a little over a second, 1.5, 1.53. And again, there's one, the fastest one with the buzzer was 104. So the other thing, so the reaction time was too slow. You know, so it's going to take you a little longer to process when I need to stop than the average person. I mean, I know you're not in your 50s or 60s, but there's still a safety risk involved. And the other thing that I noticed, there was a few times when some of this processing was a little slow. Remember, what am I supposed to do when the yellow goes off? Oh, that's right, I go back to accelerator. You know, because there were times when there weren't any lights on. I had turned mine off, and then I was waiting on you to get down to accelerator, and you did that. That's fine, but it was a little slow.
Yeah,
So yeah, so
can we do it again?
well, no, yeah, I think you did fine. I mean, the thing is, you're pretty consistent in all the 4 tests that we did on that, and it's just too slow. Now, I am not part of the state police, and I'm not the Bossier sheriff, but I think, I mean, if the doctor said, in fact he does say, because that's why you're here, what are some areas that you would be concerned about if she were driving? And the vision is fine. The biggest concern I have is the slow reaction time, because I think it's just a little too slow to be safe. And there's a little, and some of this could be with your subdural hematoma over the years, you know, the whole thought process, everything is probably just a little slower than it used to be. I don't know. I mean, obviously, you're very bright because you taught school and all that. And I have great respect for all the teachers. I wish I had more respect when I had them. But I didn't study much, you know, but I think, and I'll tell you what, you got somebody next door to you that takes you where you need to go. And I don't know the situation, but there's lots of folks don't have that. You know.
Are you saying I can't have my keys back?
Right, I'm thinking that it's not safe for you to drive because your reaction time is too slow. And that's my recommendation, is that you don't drive because the reaction time's too slow. And there's a little bit of overall slow processing, that when you're out on that road, nobody's watching out for you and me. In fact, I think some of them don't even know we're out there.
I think if I did the lights again, you would see that because it's like, oh, which one was it that's supposed to do, which,
Right,
you know.
right. Now, and the other thing that I have sometimes recommended is, well, somebody, they're bound and determined, they think they need to drive. They can always get an in-car test. Unfortunately, at the motor vehicle department, you can't now, So, I mean, if that ever, when that opens up and the situation arises that you think you need to drive, if they were open right now, and I would recommend that you have an in-car test. The other thing is, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, that's 6 months that you haven't driven at all. And so regardless of the fact that you probably have been driving 65 years, 6 months is a long time not to go do something, driving or whatever. So I think just that overall, awareness and speed and everything of doing something, it's kind of been put on the back shelf just because of your fall and all that.
Right.
So if somebody hadn't driven in 6 months, I would recommend they have an in-car test anyway, just because that 6 months they hadn't been doing something. So they're rusty at best, so I just recommend that for now that you don't drive, and I don't know where all you have to go, but it sounds like you hadn't missed any appointments since you've fallen, right?
No, but it's hard for him to get off.
Well, and sometimes, I don't know, he works, and that's great. Sometimes the only difference between you driving and you not driving is letting somebody, and it may be him, it may be some other people, know that, next week I'd like to get something at the store, or I need to make a doctor's appointment, when would be a good time? A little bit of planning ahead goes a long way when you have to figure out how to get somewhere. And I can tell you, they'd much rather take you somewhere than visit you in the hospital from a wreck of some sort, And I'll tell you, every adult that has adult children thinks they're putting their kids out by having them, well, I just hate for them to have to take me places. Now, the other thing you can do, and you may have done this, is he takes your car when you have to go somewhere. Right, so that's certainly a possibility. And that's really a pretty good solution to otherwise what could be a really bad situation, in my thoughts. So that's my thought. So I recommend that you don't drive because of your slow reaction time. Now, if it were pretty close, but it's not close, it's like 2 to 3 times too slow, and then you may do it again, and I've had occasionally people do it a little, but they don't really speed up as much as they think they're going to speed up when they try to redo things. So now, I know where do you work?
I work for sheriff's office.
Okay, in
Bossier.
Bossier, okay. Up at the jail or just?
Well, I am now. I was a school resource officer at Waller Elementary.
Oh, Waller, okay, yeah, okay.
But since schools are closed,
Yes,
I am up at the jail
And
now.
have they gotten to be, try to utilize most folks somewhere?
Yeah, we're split out between patrol and
Okay,
corrections. So.
yeah. Well, that's my opinion, and the doctor sent me for an opinion now. And I don't know if you've driven with her since before she had this, but I think evidently when you fell and you had some dizzy spells and you hit your head, that was a bad situation. And I just think, you know, when people have had a head injury of any sort, whether you blacked out or had a concussion or whatever, it just slows down everything, you know. And now, on a good point, you're getting around, it sounds like pretty good at the house, right, with your walker. And I know nobody likes to have a walker, nobody likes to be taken places. But the fact is, you're dressed and you probably can dress yourself without much help, if any, right?
And I shower.
Right, and so
I
that,
could.
see, right outside those doors, there's probably hundreds of people that wish they could be what you're doing right now. And if they'd give it all, if they say, if I could do all that, I wouldn't drive. And so, not me. So anyway, that's it. So what I do is write up a report and send it over to the doctor. And just let him know what I found, that, you know, your vision and all, most everything was really pretty good, except that the reaction time was just a little too slow. It was really too slow.
Yeah.
And I know you don't like to hear that, but I think on the big picture,
I think if I did it, have a chance to do it again, I would do better.
and you may do a little better, but not that much better.
Yeah, you don't think
I don't think so. So, but yeah, so just try to work on any doctor's appointment. You have anything coming up?
I have a cardiologist next month.
Okay. And who's your doctor?
Oh,
Oh,
Hope.
okay. Yeah, so you just have to kind of plan ahead.
Yeah.
Are there any folks that
If,
are available
yeah,
besides you?
either me, my wife,
Oh, you have it?
uh,
Yeah.
you just gotta quit being so hard-headed.
Now, let me just say, part of the reason you're doing so well is because you're hard-headed, if that's the case. Because hard-headed people they have things bounce at them and they just keep moving because they're hard-headed. And that's a plus. But it's not a plus if things happen and you're not willing to bend over just a hair, you know. So I think you ought to utilize them. You know, if they get tired of taking you, they'll figure out another option.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm starting to get stir crazy.
Well, hello.
Everybody in the
What about
world
rest of
is right
America?
now.
It is, the weather has been horrible.
I can't tell you all